Hey, in this tutorial I'm gonna teach you how to make an orb that looks something like this. Yeah, I'm gonna teach you this by introducing you to the thing called the Boolean object. So let's get started. So we open a new file. Okay, the first thing we do is create a sphere. Then we go into the coordinates in the attributes manager, and when it comes down here, when it goes to on size, we're going to change this to 230. Okay, now we go to the attributes and we're going to change the segments to 100. This is so we have more, more edges and faces to work with. Then we're going to create another sphere, except this time we're going to change this to 227. Now these two spheres are going to form the outer shell of the orb. Right. We can also change the little sphere segments to 100. There we go. Now what we're going to do is going to create a loft NURB object, and then we're going to put these two and make it children of that loft NURB. What the loft NURB does is make the two spheres part of one whole 3D object. It gives the whole thing a kind of depth, so it's nicer to look at. Okay, let's call that the outer shell. Yep, so not much going on here at the moment, so let's add something a little more interesting. Now we're going to add a capsule and change the size coordinates down bottom here to 104. So that's to 104, 208, and again 204. Hit enter. Yep, and now we're going to make 3 more copies of this capsule. So you can do that if you're on a Mac. You can just do Command C and then Command V 4 times, or you can click on this, press Control and drag it so that you have 4 capsules. They're all in one space so you can't see them right now. But now you can press F2 and go into the top view, get each of the capsule, zoom in itself, and align the center of each capsule to the edge of the outer shell. Like that. Now we select capsule number 2, capsule number 1, and the last capsule. You should have something that looks a little bit like this. Let's change the display to wireframe. Alright, we're now going to group these 4 capsules. Just drag like that. You can press Alt and then G, or right click, and you can press group objects and call those the indent for the outer shell, because now what we're going to do is create a Boolean object. Here we're going to drag the outer shell into that, and then drag this into there like that. Now you should have something that looks like this. So if we press F1, go back into perspective view, or press that little square in the corner and go back, you have something that looks like this. See, coming back to that loft NURB, you can now see that there's this, it's created this kind of depth to the shell just to make it look a little more 3D. Now if for whatever reason this hasn't happened for you, what we see on the screen here, if you click on the boolean and go to the attributes manager on the object, you need the boolean type a subtract b. Now what that does is it takes away the b from the a. So it's, the hierarchy is really important, because if you had the indent as the a, then you end up with this, which is not what we want. So let's just switch that back. Alright, time to move on. We're pretty much done with the modeling. All we need to do now is to add 2 further spheres, internal spheres. So we're going to change this one first to 162 all the way. 62. There we go. That's about right. And then we're going to create another one. Let's just make the segments 100 just to give it that smoother look. See, from, if you look, when it was 24, it had a very kind of bumpy texture to it there. But if you change it to have more segments, you can see that it smooths it out a little bit. And then we make another sphere. Then change this one to 78 or for all the axes. There we go. Now we can see that the sphere is in the middle there. Alright, now yeah, we're gonna have to see that sphere anyway, so let's change that to 100. Now we're gonna make a hypernurb, something that smooths everything out, and make all these objects a child of the hypernurb. Hypernurb just makes sure that everything is looking pristine and smooth and round. Okay, that looks good. So we're now done with the modeling, and you can go on and add your own material, or you can keep watching and use the material and the sky and the floor that I use now. Okay. Okay, the material we're now going to create applies to 3 of the 4 spheres that we have. So first we go to shader from the file, down the materials bar here, and then we click Denel, and we double click that. Most of the attributes we're going to change are the colors, and you don't have to use the colors that I use, I'm just going to give them to you for reference. Okay, so now what we do is go on to diffuse. Now we're going to change the color to this being 0, that being 0. Yep. Now we go to specular 1, and we're going to change the color. We're going to leave the color to white, all of the red, green and blue to 255. To specular 2, we're going to change this to this being 0, green being 255, 128. Right, looks good. Then we go to specular 3 and change the color to, then we change this color to 0, 255 and 0. We'll change this density to 52%, enlarge in the size 91 looks good. Now we go to reflection, and all we're going to change here is just leave these all